Hey, this is Second Soundwave, and it has been ages since I've done a review, and today we're doing another Gundam review. Actually, I've only done a couple of these. I don't build these very often, but today we got, today we have the GM Sniper K9 from Gundam Build Fighters. This is the high-grade kit, and I actually bought and built and finished this kit up a long time ago, like at least a good 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yeah, it was at least 4 weeks ago that I finished this, and I just now got around to reviewing it. So sorry about the wait. I could have done it earlier. I didn't have the time to do it, and because I was busy with stuff. And well, now it's up. So yeah, yay. Anyway, this kit, I'm gonna just give you a little close up here. As you can see, this falls under one of the sort of categories that I categorize Gundams in. This is in the sort of realistic military category, I guess, as in, what a Gundam would look like if the military built one. I mean, sure, it's still a little, hang on, it doesn't focus, still a little, stylized and futuristic. What is this focusing on? Wow, this is just not wanting to focus. But anyway, things like refusing to focus. There we go. There we go. Okay. Anyway, like I was saying, this kit is a modification of the GM Sniper K9. And, actually, while I'm at it, why don't I, now that after going through all the trouble to focus this, I'm going to have to unfocus it back out here again, because we're going to take a look at the manual for this thing, because it's actually kind of cool. But as you can see, there's the art on it. This is the same art that's on the box. I'm not going to bother showing the box, but got a thing about the almost identical not pilots, but builders, because this is Build Fighters, and they're actual model kits in the show too. So you got some pictures of them, again kind of blurry, but what's cool is on the inside flap is now like a whole thing about them. So you got like his sort of attack strategy up there, and you got a little camp for amazing over there. You got a little tips on panel lining. You got some little cross cells for some of the other stuff. And you have the usual front and back pictures. And then you have a thing about the original suit, which is the GM Sniper K9, so you can sort of see the differences in them. It's blue and it doesn't have as much armor, and there's a giant backpack on this, and a new gun, which I'll get to. And then some other sniper suits. So we got the Zaku 1 sniper type on the left, and I can't remember what the one on the right is. I've seen it before. It's not a Sazabi modification, it's a different suit, but I cannot remember what it was. Then out here you got some pictures of some of the other sort of strategic suits. You got, Axia Dynams, Kyrios, Virtue, a little tank transforming one that I remember seeing before, but I can't remember what it's called. And another one on the far right that, unless that's like some sort of just a modification, that is a suit that I've never seen nor heard of before. But yeah, and that thing on his weapons, we'll get to those later. And some, I like take this way too close. Some little shots, and there's an extra set of stickers for making his optics and stuff red for his exam mode from the show, but it covers up all the beautiful translucent green plastic on this kit, and I hate to do that, so I'm not going to put those on. But yeah, enough about that. Whoop. Yeah, it's going to take you a while to refocus again, isn't it? Anyway, while I'm doing that, I'm just going to sort of talk about, there we go, talk about the sort of appearance of this figure. As you can see, it's very militaristic. It's got a bit of a backpack, not bad. It looks crazier if you have it default. In the sort of default configuration, I sort of moved everything down here so it's a little more subtle, I guess. See, comparing from that picture in the book, there are some differences, like these are now gray. There are little yellow stickers for them. I didn't put it on. I'm probably going to maybe marker it up sometime. He's got a giant knife on his shoulder. That's kind of neat. And his head sculpt, if you remember I was talking about those green translucent plastic parts, is awesome. By the way, that little crystal on his forehead, that was a royal pain to put in. That was easily the hardest part of this build, was putting that piece in. Because it's a little tiny little piece you have to push in from behind. As you can see, if you turn his head, you got a sticker right there, that little rectangle. some yellow on his cheeks, and overall a very good, very detailed head sculpt. And the best part is, best action feature ever. I mean, really, this is one of my favorite little sort of mini gimmicks that a action figure could possibly have, is a flip down visor. And it's so cool that he has that. But yeah, as you can see, his arms are pretty standard, but then if we look underneath them, we got like some equipment packs and got his flaps here, and I actually separated them. They're one piece when you get it, but I cut them apart so that he has sort of individual hip flap articulation. And then over here, you'll notice that we've actually got some holsters, and they have these cool little handguns in them. And I've got another one out here, which has his trigger finger hand in it, and yes, he needs different hands for his different weapons. I keep this one on this one just for convenience's sake. And then you can just pop his wrists off. I should mention that the wrists on this kit, and this isn't just mine, this is, I believe I've heard about 3 or 4 other people mentioning this issue, are kind of loose. Just something to keep aware of, especially because of how large his weapons are, but you can see they're a bit on the floppy side. Also, he only has single jointed elbows, which is another sort of bummer, but as you can see, you know, so he's got that. He also has a sort of machine gun. Not sure what to call this. I'm sure there's an actual real gun that looks somewhat like this with the magazine on top. But that can be held in a weapon holding hand too. I'm not going to do it because his other hand's on something else. And then he's got a different hand, which as you can see has a sort of tilt on it, for his original sniper rifle. This is the one that, this was the biggest weapon that the GM Sniper 2 came with. And then if we tilt the shoulder down, another thing I should mention is that shoulders have a tendency to sort of work their way out of the socket, but you can kind of just push them up back in and then they're fine. He also has a shield, and you know, it's just a sort of standard shield, nothing special, nothing particularly new about it. It's very standard Gundam fare. And then he also has the knife. I like to put it in his hand sort of underslung, but it's okay that way, so you know. And you know, that's already pretty armed up. But we're not done yet, because he has another thing I'll get to. But first, I should point out that all of these retooled parts aren't your only option. You actually get on the sprue all of the old GM Sniper parts that are replaced. So you get the old hip flaps, you get these old side flaps, you get the old version of this that's yellow but doesn't have a hole to plug this into. And most importantly, you actually get the old jetpack, so when you don't have this on, you actually have something to put there. I'm actually going to show that now, because you can slide this up and take it off. And you're supposed to just leave it like this, but you can actually take this whole connector off and pop on this. And now you got that. And also in the back here, he's got little beam saber blades, beam saber handles, and he's got blades for them. There is another blade, it's buried in my part bag, and I have no idea which one it is because they all look so similar. You wouldn't think that after having like 3 Gundam kits, I'd be not able to keep track of whose beam sabers are who, but they get lost pretty fast. And anyway, I'm just going to show the back of the kit so you can see the thrusters are unfortunately unpainted, but see, he does have some very nice thrusters down there in his legs. Sides, moving around to the front. These vents there's separate plastic on there, so conceivably you could like paint them gray or yellow. I didn't. I probably could easily enough disassemble that and do that at some point in the future, because there's a lot that could be detailed in on this kit. It's a very good sort of kit for if you want to like get into detailing and stuff, because there's plenty of little details. Also, there's supposed to be a yellow sticker on there, but I looked at that and like, you know what? That's way too sort of three-dimensional to wrap a sticker around. I don't think that would work. I don't think it would stay on well. I don't think it would look good, so I'm just not going to put it on. And I didn't. And I actually like the sort of all gray look much better. Now, this backpack thing we took off, it has legs, as you might notice. So you can take these and put them out here, so you got front legs there. And then this piece, which is a pain to get out. Excuse me for a second if I get one of the little magic. There we go. Also, yeah, I know I have no left thumbnail. It's kind of creepy, but yeah. Yeah, so you got a little head there. And it does have a, if I can get this to focus again. Well, it has a mono eye, so it does actually have some sort of visual thing on it. And then you just tip this, and these knees do really like to come off. And then you tip his feet up, and again, the feet also like to come off. This really wasn't a easy build, this thing here, just because of how everything like really just barely stays together. But yeah, tilt this up and down, you can move this up, and would you look at that, it's a little walker. And that's not all, because he has this just absolute behemoth of a weapon that you can stick on top of it. Yeah. Is that cool or what? But that's not all, because this giant weapon here, if I can get it off, there we go, this folds up, that folds up, this folds down, this folds out, and this would be a good chance to show the holding hands go together. They actually, you don't take the back off like you do with the other style hands on some of those other kits I've built. You actually, it does have a tab on the side. You take it and you tab that in, and then you take actually the inside of the hand and then put it on that way. So it's a bit more secure, but I can foresee this coming loose over time, sort of like the back of the hands of the Red Frame Astray, and on that figure, the hand back pieces, there's like no friction there. They're basically resting there just because they wore out really fast. But yeah, and this thing does tilt so that you can fit it actually underneath his arm, which is kind of surprising. I wasn't expecting that, but you can hold it underneath his arm and look awesome. So, next up we got this, which still has more to it, because you can take this and pull it off, and it's a little pod. And if you lift it up, little soldiers. These are the same soldiers that... Oh, there's another guy stuck in there. There we go. These are the same soldiers that come with the Zaku Ground War set. But there's, anyway, I think there's 3 types. Yeah, there's 3 types. There's the General, with this sort of gun there. There's some really nice detail. I'm trying to get this to focus, but once again, this is just not focusing, and I apologize for that, because this camera is just really not liking to go into macro mode. But yeah, got that guy, and then you have the guy shooting a machine gun. And then you got a guy standing there with a machine gun. And you got 4 of the guys shooting the machine gun, 3 of the generals, 1 of the guys standing there with the machine gun, and then there's this one, which is another machine gun guy, but I accidentally broke the tip of the gun off. So you do get more than the ones I have out right now. Those are the only ones I cut off the sprues, but yeah, there are others. And if you sort of stand them up with them, they had a nice bit of sort of scale to the Gundam there. So anyway, what else is there to this guy? Because I know that's not possibly all. Oh yes, where I remember now, we're 13 minutes in and we haven't even talked about articulation. Well, let's talk about articulation. Let's put... I'm trying to find a hand that doesn't have a weapon in it. Close enough, and we're just going to pop this out. Articulation, his head. Side to side, up and down. He's basically got everything you could possibly want. His arm. Full thing here. It has a joint to tip it forward, which is quite cool. And the joint can come out a bit, so it does actually go basically what you want from this, and that again pushes right back in. He has a waist. He actually has a little bit of crunchy movement, but it's not useful. He has, let's see, well, these flaps can come up to about here. So as you can see, they're not super out of the way, but they don't, at least they don't immediately bump into these things here. And these holsters are, they're on sort of over the peg that attaches his leg together, which means that they're actually taking down some of the length of the peg, sort of like a spacer, and because of that, it makes that his legs can come off while you're posing him, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, anyways, you can see I individualized these, but normally they'd come up in tandem, but I did, like I said, customize that a bit. It was super easy. I just trimmed it between the joint and it held fine. So you got forward. Unfortunately, the back skirt doesn't move, so that's as much backwards movement as you're going to get. But you got out, you got rotate, you got a double knee, which is nice. And then his feet are kind of weird because you got this joint here, and then a bit of rotate, and then you have this joint down here. So you have like a double foot thing, and then you have this guard that sort of comes up and hides the joint. So overall, he's not too shabby when it comes to posability. I mean, you know. There's some cool poses that he can do. There we go. Anyway, is there anything I've missed? Because I'm not 100% certain there isn't, because there's a lot with this guy. I think that's everything, because I talked about the rifle, I talked about the machine gun, I talked about the shield, I talked about the old parts, I talked about the separate compartment with the guys inside, I talked about the K9 unit, although I don't think I called it the K9 unit, which is what it's called. That's why this is called the GM Sniper K9. And if you want just this, the giant rifle, the twin handguns, and I think a couple of other things, but there's some of it, as well as the soldiers. There's a set in the Build Custom line called the K9 unit, which is basically just those parts. So if you already have a GM Sniper 2 and you don't want to buy a second one, you can, even though this is actually different enough that I'd recommend it even if you have the GM Sniper 2, you can just get this part and sort of put the parts onto your GM Sniper 2 and have a blue GM Sniper K9. So yeah, my overall opinion on this figure, I think it's pretty good. I think it could use a bit more articulation. I think that the floppy wrists are a bit unfortunate. I'm not sure what to think about the different hand design. I'm not sure how well it'll hold up over the years, simply because, well, not even over the years, over like the months, because it didn't take very long for the Red Frame Astray's backhand hand opening method to wear out, and it's taken a little longer for Double O's hands to wear out, but they're kind of getting a little loose too. But anyway, I do like a lot of this guy's stuff. I find myself not using the machine gun that often just because of how cool it is to have him dual-wielding pistols, or have him with a knife and a shield, or have him with his beam saber. So even for that matter, I don't use the beam saber as much either, because he just has so many heavy weapon options that there's just no point in using them. But yeah, would I recommend this? Yeah, I think it's a good, fun little installment to the Gundam Build Fighters line. There's nothing particularly wrong with it other than the wrists and the legs sometimes coming off from these. It could use some paint, especially yellow. Actually, mostly yellow. It could use quite a bit of yellow. But a lot of that is supplied by stickers that I chose not to put on because they wrap around three-dimensional parts in a manner that means that they could probably peel off pretty easily, and I really don't like doing that kind of stickering. I mean, I did a little bit of it for the Red Frame Astray, but I'm not sure I'd want to do it at this scale. Well, at this level. Anyway, even though I've said this like 3 or 4 times already, my final verdict on this figure... No, really, I've said that like 3 or 4 times. Here, let's go for a 5th time. My final verdict on this figure is that it's pretty good. It's definitely good. I like it. If you're into these sort of more militaristic-looking Gundams, it's good. As you can see, it contrasts quite nicely with the traditional-looking sort of Gundam aesthetic with the V-fin and the sort of sleek look and the wing packs and the very sort of anime look as compared to the slightly more realistic sort of military look. There's also a 3rd category in my mind, which is the why is this even considered a Gundam category, which is where really bizarre things like the Z-Zulu fall into category. But for the most part, I think this is a good figure. It doesn't look too weird. It looks like it actually fits in with the other Gundams, yet it's different enough to be unique and eye-catching. I think it's a very good figure. Kit. Hey, this is Second Soundwave, and I'm back. Just I'd mention that I have a new blog called writeraday.blogspot.com, and every day I do an article on a different Kamen Rider. Some of them are fairly well known, some of them are kind of obscure, and if you have no idea what a Kamen Rider is, well, that would be the time to check out the first article. Anyway, I've been doing this for a while. I'm probably going to continue doing it for a while, so go check it out. See ya.